Hi, I'm Paul, and if you want to find out how to make this leather strap shelf, then keep watching the video. Okay, so the first step is to cut the leather straps to length. The ones we used, we made 71 centimeters. So you just measure out 71 centimeters, put a little mark. Use a square if you have one. Put a line, and then get your really sharp new bladed Stanley knife and cut it on. Make sure you cut it on a chopping board or something. Cut that very easily. So we want to cut them both exactly the same length. It's very important they're exactly the same. Just a quick check that exactly the same length. Yeah. Okay, so the next step is to mark out where the holes are going to be. If you get your tape measure, measure 2 centimeters, 18 centimeters, and then 2 centimeters in from the other end, and then transfer those marks onto the second shelf. Just put a tiny pen mark close to the middle. And get your tape measure. So this strap is 5 centimeters wide. We want to measure exactly centre, which is 2.5 centimeters on both straps, on every hole. So once we've got our centre point, okay, so next we take our hole punch and carefully get it over exactly over the hole. It's very important you get it in the right place. Wiggle. And do this on all 3 holes on both straps. Okay, so the next stage is to mark out exactly on the wall where you want the shelf. We bought this shelf from B&Q specifically for this space, so we bought it 80 centimeters, knowing that this gap was around 1 meter, so we was going to have a gap either end. So what you do is just hold it up, offer it up roughly where you want it. Just put a very tiny mark on the wall. You get your tape measure, measure the opening, which in this case is 96 centimeters. The shelf is 80 centimeters, so that means I've got 8 centimeters on either side. The easiest way to do it is to get your shelf, measure the centre point of your shelf, which is 40. And measure the centre point of your wall, which is 45 centimeters plus 3 is 48 centimeters. And then you line your centre mark up to there. And that's where your shelf is going to go, and that should give you an 8 centimetres either side, exactly. Okay, so the shelf that we bought has 2 holes underneath because it's actually a floating shelf, but we're not going to use it as a floating shelf. But what I'm going to do is put the straps so that they cover up those holes. So what I'm marking out, what I'll do, I've got my centre mark on the wall. I'll hold that to there, like that. Bang in line. Got my level. Get that exactly right, and I've got my centre mark here, which I'll put on the wall. And then my centre mark there, which I'll put on the wall. So now I know that the centre of the shelf is lined up with the centre of the wall, and these, where I'm going to put the straps, are going to cover up these 2 holes in the shelf. So take those down. I've got my marks exactly where I want them to be. So if you do these holes roughly 2 centimetres above where you want the shelf to be, that'll all become clear later as to why. So if I've not done my holes there, which means my shelf will end up around here. So next I'm going to mark two more spots on the wall. I'm going to mark up above the point that I've made. I want to make another point 2 centimetres up. And then 16 centimetres up from that mark. Doesn't really matter too much if you make marks because they're going to be covered up by the strap. Let's do some on the other side. So 2 centimetres. And then again 16 centimetres from there. So 18 centimetres from that point, 16 centimetres from that point. I'll get my level and make sure those are vertical or plumb. Again, doesn't matter too much really if you make any marks on the walls, they're going to be covered up by the straps. That one's pretty good anyway, so tiny bit to the right. So to fix these to the wall, I'm using these, because our house is a new build and the walls are made of plasterboard, use these self-drilling plasterboard fixings that are designed specifically for this. They're really easy to use. You literally just put it on the end of your screwdriver. You don't have to make a pilot hole, but I have. You just push fairly firmly and rotate. They drill a hole themselves, and then when they get to the screw bit, they start pulling themselves into the wall. We put everything up with these. Put our TV up on the wall, all sorts of shelving. If you've never used them before, you'll be amazed at how good they are. So you put them in. They make a bit of a mess, but they work really well. don't over tighten them. When it gets flush with the wall, stop. And what we do, get the strap and these special mirror screws. They're called mirror screws. They have a thread in the end and a dome cap which screws into that. You see that? You'll see why afterwards. Why they're handy to have. We've got them off of Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description. So you just put this one in first, and don't put the screw into that one. Oh, and put the rough side of the lever facing you. The reason for using those plasterboards fixings is so that you don't have to find a joist to go into, a stud to go into. If you've got a stud behind it, great, just drill a hole and put the screw straight into the wooden stud, but chances are there's not a stud where you want your shelf. So once we've got those two like that, the idea now is for normally I put the shelf in afterwards, but because I can't slide it, I'm going to have to put the shelf first. And you wrap that around there, put the screw straight through both at the same time. We'll do one first, then put the shelf in, then do the second one. It's easier actually to put the cap on now before it's twisted, so that just threads straight into the screw. So then you just fold that up, go through both straps and into the fixing on the wall. Okay, so once you've got one side done, what we'll do, because of the size of this room, I need to slide that in first before I can put the other side on. Normally we just do this after, like if you had space either side you could just slide the shelf in. So take that over, line it up with the other hole, get your mirror screw, put it through both holes and into the plug behind. And get your screwdriver. Screw it up. Don't do it too tight. If you want it tight enough, but don't over tighten it. Then, when the lever's new, it's very, very stiff. Don't forget to put your screw heads over. They just screw in. Sometimes you can just push them in, sometimes they have to be screwed in. It has to be screwed. So I'll just slide that on so that it hides the holes underneath. Like I said, the leather at first is very, very stiff. Once you've got some bits and pieces on it, after a couple of days it sort of settles down to the correct shape and then you can just move it. So that's it basically. That's how to do it. Very quick, very simple, very easy. So that's how you do a leather strap shelf.